I'm Indra,
And I'm Amanda.
and we'd like to welcome you to The Messy Middle Matters. Hey, Amanda, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Indra?
I'm good. Today, we're going to talk about soft skills, which is something that I feel like we exercise or talk about in some way, shape, or form on pretty much every episode that we have. But we'll dig into it a little bit more deeply. Before we dig into the topic itself, let me read off the definition. Soft skills are the personal attributes and interpersonal abilities that enable individuals to interact effectively with others, collaborate in teams, and navigate various professional and social situations. In my experience, the term usually shows up when the stakes are the highest. It's when there's conflict, when there's a tough deadline, when it's performance reviews. It's all these high stakes situations is when the term shows up the most. It's there all the time. But when somebody says, oh, you need to work on your soft skills, it's always when it's the highest. It's always the highest.
Yeah, agreed. And I've seen it a lot in job descriptions. And it can be a very vague term, right? I know you just read off the definition, but it can be very vague, and it has different applications and definitions depending on what that company or that role is looking for. But soft skills is such a blanket term.
It's a huge blanket term, and it can be so contextual. I mean, and the reality of it is that there are very few trainings on these things. Like sometimes there's training on EQ, which is emotional intelligence or communication, or sometimes there's some things that like touch on it, but like true training on soft skills, I don't think I've seen many, if any. But there are so many ways you can help to cultivate that. And there's so many resources that may not be labeled as soft skills that, yeah.
Yeah. Or the opposite, right? Like I've seen a lot of YouTube videos or TED Talks that are labeled soft skills, but when you watch the video, it's a very like narrow piece of what soft skills are.
Yes. I mean, we can talk about soft skills. Soft skills today, I'm wearing my Don't Make Me Regret Trying to Be Helpful sweatshirt, which was a demonstration of soft skills in the form of me getting my team sweatshirts because we were just being silly and we needed a silly way to diffuse situations, which is a form of a soft skill.
Right.
But so the question that really shows up when people talk about soft skills is, are they innate? Are we born with them, or is it something that we can learn? I mean, I know that you have some perspectives on it. I've got perspectives on it.
Yeah. I think it's mostly something that you learn. Much like, I don't know, are they called hard skills? What's the opposite of soft skills, right? Hard skills.
I know how to code this thing in this way. That's a hard skill. I can measure that. Yeah.
Right. Like much like hard skills, it's something that you learn and you practice, and that's how you get better. I think there is a bit of the innate like aptitude for them, but I don't think you're just born with the ability to have good soft skills.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that some people have more of a natural tendency towards them, or are born with a temperament that lends itself more to soft skills. And some have challenges in that area, but everybody can learn them. I think everybody can learn them, but it takes whether you're born with them or you're not born with the aptitude. The reality is you have to use them, practice them, just like I think that when, you're the one who brought it up in an earlier conversation you and I had. It's like going to the gym. Like you got to exercise those muscles of soft skills all the time, or else you lose them. You lose them, or you don't use them as effectively as you would like to,
Right. It becomes muscle memory, or like it becomes second nature, right? Like if you practice them enough, it becomes second nature, and then you're able to, just be able to run a meeting effectively. Like it's, like you could do it in your sleep.
And that's where it kind of matters the most, because like I said, it shows up, or it's the most front of mind when the stakes are the highest. Like I was in a conversation the other day, and this guy, I won't go into exactly what it is, but he came at me with this very aggressive terminology, and I was just like, whoa. I came back, I redressed this, I addressed the situation, I pivoted back to my point of what I was saying. you can't practice for that stuff. But because I'd gone to the proverbial gym so much, I knew how I had a skill set to draw from. So,
Right. You practice those skills and then you just knew how to navigate that situation without, your fight or flight or freeze
yes,
instinct, right?
yes, just like driving. I mean, I'm just going
Mhm.
back to my early days of driving. But, the question is for so many people when they're told in their performance review, like, you've got to work on your soft skills. Like, okay. I think that there is some work, you alluded to it earlier, is you need to understand, like, what does soft skills mean in this situation, to the person who's giving me this feedback, right? Maybe that's one element of it. There might be an assessment of, like, what soft skills do I see that I might want to emulate? There's understanding what you want to do, but then you need to start practicing them. Like, there is no gym for soft skills. It's not like I can go to a trainer and be like, let's practice soft skills today.
Right.
Like, you can only do so much with a career coach. It's not the reality. So, I think that one of the things that both you and I advocate for is start small. Start small.
Yeah, start small. Find opportunities, like low stakes opportunities, right? Like it's funny you say that the soft skills feedback usually comes in a high stakes situation. Cool. Start small and start in a low stakes situation to start practicing, right? Ask your manager or ask anybody, hey, mind if I facilitate this meeting today? Like,
Yeah.
send out the agenda, run the meeting, set the tone, facilitate, redirect questions, just all of those micro moments of being able to practice the soft skills.
Yeah, and I think my favorite, like, low stakes example of that is, like, the recurring meetings that you have. Like,
Mhm.
the weekly check-in, the daily check-in. If your team does agile, doing the daily huddle and leading that, because these are people and hopefully trust you and you trust them. And you'll be able to lead the conversation and you'll be able to get feedback from them afterwards. They will support you in that attempt because you're a team, but then you can go to them and be like, "Hey, how was that? Like, what can I do better next time?" And then you
Right.
can like lather, rinse, repeat, lather, rinse, repeat.
Right. And a lot of it is, with the meetings situation, a lot of it I think is just being prepared, right?
Mm,
Just being able to, clearly communicate the purpose of the meeting and like what the agenda of the meeting is and be able to like keep things on track and as conversations happen being able to redirect like your example of someone coming at you like really really strong like being able to take that and deflect a bit. Mhm.
jujitsu it. My friend Enrique calls it. Yes.
Yeah.
But I think that the thing is also, like, workplace examples are the ones that'll come to mind for everyone first. You can practice this in your everyday life because soft skills help you everywhere. Like, this example that I was sharing from earlier was not in my work life. It was in my personal life. Um, and you'll find them, whether it's, on a checkout line that's just a little unwieldy. Like, can you help to get that line? Like, hey, folks, like, just say something. Or, I live in New York on the subway. When somebody's acting a little bit seriously, sometimes it just requires, and you got to be careful and you got to be skillful about this, but, like, just saying the right thing at the right time or giving the right look to the person across the way from you so that they can understand. Like, those are also soft skills.
Right. Yeah, as you were saying that, I'm like, coffee shop, like
Mm.
just your everyday coffee shop experience, right? You're in line with a bunch of under-caffeinated people who may or may not be grumpy, right? Like something could happen where, you can deflect a little bit or like stand up for your barista.
Or something so simple. I love that coffee shop example. Like, almost every coffee shop that I've been at during, like, rush hour, that on the way to work situation, there is this, like, impenetrable fortress of people around the pickup line. Right? And your drink comes out. How do you penetrate that force field that's been created? You feel like you're playing Red Rover, like you're trying to break through this thing. How do you say, "Hey guys, that's my thing," or "Hey, by the way, oh no, that's mine. Like, that's my drink, not yours." Like, that's a soft skill, and that's a
Right.
great.
Actually, I'm Amanda. Like that's my drink. Amanda with an Americano. Like that's mine.
Right? Because, like, people, they're like you said, they're half asleep. They're on autopilot. A lot of us are on autopilot. There's so much to do these days, right? Like those are really great little micro moments, and you're never going to see those people again. So I can't imagine a lower stakes situation, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
actually, you're right. I think that's an even lower stake situation than your team meeting with,
team meeting.
your same team with psychological safety and support and all of that. I think practicing with a bunch of strangers
Yeah.
that you'll never see again,
Never see them
great.
again. You
Yeah.
pick up your things that, like you'll pick up your little tricks that work for you. Pick up your little
Mhm.
tricks that, how do you navigate the world a little bit more gracefully? Um,
Right. Or like your taxi driver or your Lyft driver,
yes.
right?
Or
Just
yeah,
like a little conversation.
a little conversation, or you both go to grab something at the same time in the department store, like, oh, just you can find those.
I know
Um,
it's conflict, but like super low stakes conflict.
Low stakes conflict. I think that, but that goes back to the point. Soft skills are usually the most necessary when the stakes start to spike, even if they're
Mhm.
situation and contextual at that moment.
Yeah.
So growing into something bigger, right? So we talked about like the real world. I think the real world is the best when we're talking about like workplace soft skills. The real world is good for those entry level, small micro tests of different tools, techniques, turns of phrase, whatever it might be, but growing into bigger things. What comes to mind when you think of like the places that you've used in your career, you've seen other people use in in upping their soft skills in a situation?
I think what comes to mind is like a company offsite or a team offsite where everyone is in this big conference room and like there's
Mhm.
presentations and the stakes feel a little higher because you are standing in front of an audience and having to practice a presentation or just like give a talk on something or demo something or it just feels more high stakes when you're in the spotlight like that.
100%. And in that scenario, I think there's a whole bunch of different ways you can practice your soft skills, even if you're not soft skills, even if you're not, going to be the person on stage, like making sure that everyone knows where to sit, where to go, how to get there. Like we often think of those things, and as me, humans think of these things this way. I don't always. Some humans do. I don't. But like, oh, that's admin's job to take care of, or that's the project manager's job to take care of, or that's that person's job to take care of. Like making sure people know where to go or what the schedule is, or what, like helping people out in those scenarios is an exercise of soft skills, or seeking that out and finding that in a way that won't drive the person who is tasked with making sure everyone knows where to go. Like, hey, by the way, I know you're having like this is a bonkers day. Last thing that you need to know about, but I just need I need this one little thing because I'm going to help you out in this other way, right? Like intercepting them or getting the information that you need from them while their stakes are high, while they're exercising their soft skills and are in their craft. Like that's another like in those larger forums that comes to mind as a place to exercise those things.
Yeah, for sure. And as you were going through that example, I've thought about, my own experience
Mhm.
and I'm actually like I've honed the skill of being able to see the confused looks on people's faces.
Ah, that's the soft skill.
Yeah, and that's the soft skill, right? Like if we're in, going back to the auditorium example of like we're all here in a big auditorium or a big conference room for this offsite and like people don't know where to sit. Like I'm pretty good at noticing that someone looks confused or like there's a little there's chaos like about to brew because there's confusion, right? And I'll step in and be like, "Oh, hey, if you're looking for this table, like it's over there." Or like,
Yeah.
do you want to know where the coffee is? Like it's down the hall this way.
Yeah. And as you're talking, I'm sitting here thinking there are probably people listening who are really excellent at their soft skills. They're very excellent at being glue. They're really excellent at a lot of things. If you have overdeveloped soft skills and you're in that kind of environment and no one is exercising their soft skills, like you got to find the right scenario, but you might be the what you might take that moment to start writing very important notes in your notebook and turning that off and ignoring that, right? Because you will have people who are overflexed on the soft skill side of things. So I just want to introduce that one little thing for some folks who are like, but I already do that and I'm exhausted. you know,
Mhm.
don't worry. See you. This episode is not necessarily for you. It might be the thing that you forward to your colleagues. But yeah, see you. See you.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's appropriate that you're wearing your "Don't make me regret trying to be helpful" shirt today.
Darn it. Darn it. I did it on purpose. And I think that that's, it's just finding the ways to step up. But I like that. I like the example that you said about just like watching a room and reading a room, like understanding the soft skills or non-soft skills that are in play. If you're not ready to engage yet, I think it's
Yeah.
really, really useful.
Yeah. Just observe, right? Just like any other skills, learn by observing first.
Yeah. And the one thing that I will, actually, the important thing to call out for everyone is that just like with any other skill, you're gonna fail. You're gonna fail. You're gonna get it wrong. You're gonna have a bad meeting. You're gonna use the wrong word at the wrong time. Yeah, I know that this is, it's a cliche. It's a bit of a business cliche around like fail, like they're all around the failures. There's a whole bunch of them. But know that it's going to happen. Know that it's normal. Know that it's part of the growing process. And like, what do it's not my phrase. I can't remember who it's by, but somebody once said, if you don't look back at your life and cringe a little, you're not growing. Right. So like, even with the soft skills, if you're not looking back at your soft skills and be like, "Ooh, I didn't do that so well," you're not growing. It's a sign of growth when you can have that failure in your past in the rearview mirror.
Oh, totally. And here's a secret, like
Mhm.
some of your failures, people might not even notice.
They don't notice. A lot of them don't notice. Gosh, I have one where I had a meeting and like the stakes were high. We were behind on deadline. I was leading a design team at the time. And like I in my mind, I went off. I went off. I was like, this is what has to happen. This is how it's going to be. And I got really assertive. And I felt my adrenaline rising and left the meeting. And I turned to one of the people who later, after I'd had a moment to walk it off, because I knew that I didn't want to engage with others while my adrenaline was quite so high, came back and I was like, hey, friend, I'm so sorry that I felt like I flew off the handle there. And they said, no, you didn't fly off the handle. You were perfectly fine. We were really behind schedule and we needed the kick in the pants. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, there similarly, like there are plenty of times where, I was presenting something in a meeting or, running a meeting and it was just like a really important thing. And I felt that I had to nail it.
Yeah.
And usually when I get nervous, much like many, many people, I talked really fast or I thought I talked
Yes.
really fast. And I'm just like, crap, like I blew it. Right.
Yeah.
Like I was going too fast. I was going too like hurried. Did people even hear me? Like, did people digest? Like that was just a
Yeah.
disaster.
Yeah.
And I would ask for feedback or just like kind of vent to someone I trusted. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I totally blew that meeting. Like, hopefully it's okay. Like maybe I have to redo it or like send notes after, like whatever the case may be. And many times they were like, what are you talking about? I thought that was great.
Yeah. It's exactly it. We're our own harshest critics.
Yep.
We're our own harshest critics. And as I'm thinking, like one of the best teaching tools that I've found is watching or learning from people who are masters in this, right? Masters in the soft skills, masters in a lot of these things. And one of the places where I find that I learn the most is often like listening to interviews on podcasts or on chat shows or whatever it might be. The way that host navigates the dynamics of the conversation. I think a person who does it exceptionally well is Trevor Noah, and I love his What Now podcast. But yeah, I don't know if you have any.
Agreed.
Yeah, yeah,
Agreed. That's a good one.
yeah,
Yeah, I do the same thing. Like I love watching or listening to content that is in the form of an interview, is in the form of a conversation.
yeah,
I find it to be very engaging and just very, like you said, very interesting hearing the dynamics between, the interviewer and the guest.
yeah,
Because there's just so many variables when you interview different people, right? Like there's like sometimes an energy mismatch.
Yeah.
at first, right? And then like you see the most skilled people be able to navigate that and like
Yes.
ask the right questions or engage their guest in the right way and like get everyone on the same page.
Yeah. I'm thinking of Graham Norton. I wish I remember which episode it was, but like the way that what the topic exactly was or what he said. He was one of the people on his red sofa was Taylor Swift. And Graham said something. And what he said was a little bit dated in his
Mm.
perspective. And Taylor called him out and he was like, oh, you know what? You're right.
Right.
You're right. And they actually wound up having an even richer conversation, because of it. Like just watching or anytime a clip goes viral from any sort of like news show. I mean, heaven knows in this climate, there's plenty of spicy meaning like just like full of I don't know, full of
Yeah.
friction conversations on news shows or on talk shows or whatever. If you watch them and start dissecting, you can see people's strength and soft skills or lack of soft skills. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing that you bring up because it's not just learning from the good examples.
Yes.
It's seeing the not so great examples and making a mental note of just like, oh, I see what that person did there. That was really awkward, really cringe.
Yeah.
Like, okay, mental note, let's try not
Try
to
not
do
to do
that.
that. Exactly. I think that other people who do a really good job, if I'm thinking of like, um, another is me. It's like Adam Grant. Adam Grant's got a great podcast. He gets into a lot of work life his name, it's called Work Life. He gets into a lot of
Yeah.
work life topics. And that is really interesting too, because the way that he navigates the world and the way that he talks about things, I find it really, really interesting and really, really useful. And I'd say like as far as like literal resources, if you are somebody who likes to study, I think that Brene Brown's got some really good stuff. I think Dare to Lead is probably it's a great compilation in my mind. I don't know if that was her intention, but it pulled together a lot of the content or the themes in her earlier books into one thing, into one volume. And I find that it's just a really great resource for lots of different types of soft skills because leaders, you don't need to be a people manager to be a leader. Just to be clear, make sure that everyone is clear on that. I think most of us are these days, but not everyone knows that.
Yeah. Agreed on that resource. I think Dare to Lead might be the only Brene Brown book I've read cover to cover. And
Oh,
I think I might
interesting.
have asked you about this of just like, which one should I read first? And yeah.
Yeah, I started with Daring Greatly, which is on my shelf. But it's this one. I think Dare to Lead is it just pulls together a lot of the stuff all into one. So I think it's just a really great, or great
Right.
volume.
And without like rehashing too much of her previous work, right? It was just like,
No.
hey, in Daring Greatly, like I referenced this term
Mhm.
and just a refresher here. This is what this means. And like let me tie it all together with the point I'm trying to make now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that just like at the end of the day, I think that we've demonstrated the fact, or hopefully we've demonstrated the fact that, soft skills are complex. They require deliberate effort. You got to start small. You got to try to do a little something to train them on the regular because you might lose them or you'll forget them. They'll just wind up in the recesses of your brain and you're like, oh, I can't draw on that when I need to. And you need to work on that pretty much every single day.
Yeah.
And
It's one of those things where I think you learn by doing.
you learn by doing. It's a learn by doing. And there's no way around that. There's no
Yeah.
way
You
around
can
that.
you can read all the books, you can watch all the videos, you can watch all the TED Talks, but it's practice, practice, practice.
Yes, interacting with messy humans is necessary.
Yeah.
Um, Thanks so much for the conversation, Amanda. I hope that everyone listening joins us next time when we cover another topic from the messy middle. Bye.
Bye.
If today's episode hit home or just made you laugh, you might love our merch. We've got 3 collections. Don't Make Me Regret in honor of the sweatshirt that started it all. Words Matter, inspired by our most popular episode. And Embrace the Messy to celebrate the beautiful chaos. Head to shop.themessymiddlematters.com to take a look. Everything's print on demand, so be sure to double check your size before ordering. But if anything goes wrong with the printing, our vendor will work with you to make it right. Looking for a different cut or size? Email us at podcast@themessymiddlematters.com so that we can explore the option. Thanks for making the messy middle matter.